Alright guys, today we are going to do some pike canning. If you look back on some past videos, you will see that we caught a bunch of pike out in Devil's Lake, and I'm showing these boys how to can it. Should be interesting. Trusting these boys with their own knife. Think you can handle it in this way? We'll see. Anyway, the first step, I'm gonna go step by step, but the first step is we got all these nice big fillets here. We got a pile more right down here. I mean, those are some awesome fillets, but they're just cutting them into cubes right now. We'll probably do a couple batches of fish, and we're gonna not pickle them. We're gonna pressure cook them and can them, and I'll show you how that's done. It'll dissolve the bones right out of it, and it has the consistency of canned tuna. Maybe not quite as fishy though. It's good stuff. You guys like canned fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the spicy cans.
Yeah. And we'll show you. We put different stuff in there. You can put some cayenne to make it a little spicier. It was an old recipe I got from my Uncle Mike that he got from my grandpa. So it's kind of cool passing it down to these boys. They're going to be cutting all these fillets up, and I actually have to go push more snow because it's Easter weekend, and Jesus rose and he saw a shadow or something, so we got 8 more weeks of winter. So this is what it looks like outside Easter weekend. Anyway, these guys are gonna be doing that. Dad of the year, trusting boys with knives. Boys, if you get any blood, cut your finger. If you cut your finger, don't get any blood in the meat. Okay?
Okay.
This should be interesting.
Why?
All right, snow is done being pushed. I come in here and this is what we got. A lot of good cubes there. How's it going there?
Good.
Yeah? No cut fingers?
Nope.
No. Good. How about you?
Good. This thing's frozen. I'm gonna try doing it.
Those are some nice fillets, aren't they? Actually, might work better when it's frozen a little bit. But anyway, so we got a good pile here so far. I'm gonna start loading these jars up. We've got a pile, so that's what I'll be doing. So this is how we're loading it. Loading each jar. Try to get as much of the air out of the jars as possible. Pack it in there. So when you're packing these in here, we want to make sure we have some space on top. Give it about a 3/4 inch to an inch, probably a good inch on top. That way we have room for our ingredients, and that way they don't overflow or boil over when they're in the pressure cooker. So we want a little bit of space in there. I use this here just to kind of keep the lid clean, because if there's anything on there, it might not seal as well. Next step, we've got my pressure cooker can fit 14 jars. What are these, quarts? So the next step is ingredients. First, we have 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, 3 tablespoons of ketchup, and then you can leave it plain and season it after you've cooked it again, or you can use a teaspoon of cayenne, or some people like garlic. I'll put half of it, half of these jars I'll put garlic, and then half of it cayenne. But then you just use a half teaspoon of garlic or cayenne. So I'm gonna start loading it up here. Alright, that's that step. All the ingredients are in there, and now the next step would be soften the rubber part of the lids, and we'll start capping them on. I'll show you that next step. Alright, we've got all the ingredients put in, but before I put the lids on, I like to wipe the top to make sure that lid's gonna seal. And when I was doing that, I noticed this one's got a little chip here. I don't know if you could see that, but that's gonna make a bad seal. So this one's getting tossed. Anyway, we're just gonna continue wiping these, cleaning these up. And I have all these lids in hot water. So what that does is it kind of softens up the rubber in this lid, and we just put it on here. And then you take your ring here, put it on there tight. That's all we got to do. So I'm going to continue on with all 14 of these. Alright, we've got all the jars loaded, and you can see we got a G on the garlics and C's on the cayenne. So 7 and 7. So the next step is we're going to get it loaded into the pressure cooker. Put water in the pressure cooker. We need about 2 to 3 inches. So that is about 2 to 3 inches. Then we put Alright, when I load these in here, I like to make sure none of them are touching. I don't know, that's just how I am. Not sure if that's right or wrong. I think we can probably put a little more water in here. We can have it up towards the ring a little more. I don't like to go over that because I don't know if that water, I don't know, I'm no pro. I don't like to have the water up close to that ring, but I'm gonna put a little more water in it.
Why did you put marks on there, Dad?
Tell what's in them. Some are garlic and some are cayenne. You don't really like spicy all that much, do you?
Mm-mm.
So then we'll give you the...
I just don't have garlic.
Alright. That looks good. Get the cover on here. Alright, I like to make sure both the cover and this part is very clean, so it'll seal nicely. I also will take a little bit of oil. Here's just some coconut oil.
Coconut?
Just to make sure it seals nice.
What's that?
I don't know, that's part of the instructions in the pressure cooker. It doesn't have to be coconut oil, but anything like vegetable oil or olive oil. And then you come here. Make sure we're on there straight, and then you slowly tighten all these. Make sure you're going crossways here so you're not over tightening one side. And I can feel that this side's got to go down a little bit, so I'm going to loosen this. Tighten that down. And this side's got to go down. You just want it consistent all the way around. It's feeling pretty good there. All right, now we're gonna put some heat to it. All right, we've turned the heat on now. We've got it warming up. So now what we want to do is we want to get this boiling and steaming. The steam will come out of this spigot right here. And once it starts spraying steam out of here for 10 minutes, then we put this little weight. It's got a 5, it's got a 10, and a 15. Once this pressure builds up in here, and it's been steaming for 10 minutes, we'll put 15 pounds of pressure on there. So that'll shake 3 to 4 times a minute. It'll shake and let that pressure out of the canner. And it also has a gauge here. You can kind of look, but it's relatively easy to run if you have this on. So once that shakes 3 to 4 times a minute, letting that pressure out, we put that on. We put it at that heat, at that pressure for 90 to 100 minutes. And then obviously you want to let that cool down before you take the cover off. So that's the next step. So we'll just wait till this starts steaming, and then we'll put the weight on. All right, it is just starting to steam. It's been about 15-20 minutes, just starting to steam here. I'm gonna take a 15-pound weight. Now, we're gonna wait now until that weight starts to shake, just probably 3 to 4 times a minute, and then we're gonna start the timer for 90 to 100 minutes. All right, that's how we have it right now. It's just shaking every once in a while, every few seconds. We're at 15 pounds of pressure, so now we're gonna start the timer. We got 90 to 100 minutes from now, and we should be good. Guys, we've had the heat on there, and it's been shaking at that 15 pounds. It's been on there for 90 minutes, 100 minutes, real close in there. I've shut the heat down now, and it's gonna have to cool. Once this gauge shows down to 0, then I can open it up. You never want to open it up too soon, or you're gonna end up burning yourself. There's a lot of hot steam and pressure in there right now. You don't even want to take this weight off yet, because there's still pressure there. But I gotta run pick up some more jars for the next batch. I'm gonna let it cool. It'll probably take a half hour, 25 minutes to cool down, and then we'll get to the next step. The pressure is decreased now. Now we can go ahead and take that weight off. These are my hot pad holders. And just slowly loosen these up. Now is when you open it up, make sure you're facing. You don't just open it up or the steam's gonna go right in your face. So you wanna turn it and push it that way. You can see that. It's boiling. And you can see the top of the jar right now. is it's bubbled up. Once that seals, it'll sink down. There'll be a divot. First batch is taken out, and now they'll sit here and boil for the next, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, and then all of a sudden these will start popping. You can see they're protruding up there. You can see they're protruding up, and all of a sudden that'll go pop, and it'll seal down. And then what we do is we'll take the rings off, clean them up, clean up the jar, wipe the jar down with a wet paper towel, and then put the rings back on. You don't have to put the ring on because they should be sealed solid. I mean, in order to get that lid off, you're gonna need a little well, a thing that opens up the jar, the can, almost like a bottle opener type thing. All right guys, we're all done cleaning up the jars, cleaning up the rings, and I put the rings back on the jar. You don't have to, but I just think it protects them a little bit if they get knocked around in the pantry. But here's what they look like. Jars are all nice and clean. The covers are on them, and as you can see, they all are pushed in. That's a good way you can see that they're all sealed. None of them are bubbled up. So I keep the box that they come in. It's just a nice, easy way to keep them organized in the pantry so they don't get pushed around and fall over or whatever. But anyway, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm excited to open one of these, and we'll probably be eating some tonight. Thanks for watching.